Well, education looks set then to become a key battleground in the general election, and not just over funding. Mr Cameron promised what he called an all-out war on mediocrity, declaring any English schools found to be underperforming or merely coasting could be turned into academies under new leadership. Thousands of schools have already changed status, but are they all shining beacons of success? Our Home Affairs correspondent Andy Davis reports.
The Bristol Brunel Academy, built at a cost of £24 million, at a time when another Prime Minister, on opening duties here, was banging the Academy drum. What Labour started, the coalition government accelerated. And if David Cameron is returned to power in May, the political embrace of academies he pledged would grow even tighter.
We are waging war on mediocrity. We're saying no more sink schools and no more bog standard schools either. How will we do this? By saying to schools, if you're not good or outstanding, you have to change. If you can't do it yourself, you have to let experts come in and help you.
In other words, become academies. Academies are state-funded but independent of local authorities. They've more freedom than other state schools over finances and curriculum. They can set term times, the length of school days, and don't need to follow national pay structures for teachers. Many are sponsored by local businesses, philanthropists and educational charities, and were first established in 2002. By 2010, there were around 200 academies in England. The policy was accelerated under the coalition government, including forcing some underperforming schools to convert. By the end of last year, there were well over 4,000 academies, including a fifth of all primary schools and 60% of secondaries. Right now, academisation, so-called, can only be imposed upon schools judged inadequate in the bottom rung of the inspectorate's four-tier rating system. And what David Cameron's proposing is for those schools at the next level, those judged requiring improvement, they could also be forced to become academies. And that would cast the net much, much wider. Because there are 3,500 schools currently in that category. This academy in Bristol is rated as good. If you were starting from scratch, you had the same level of teaching in the same school, would it make any difference whether it was an academy or a maintained school?
I think it would. I think there's a reputation and there's an outward-facing profile that an academy brings, and it's not just about rebranding, I don't think.
Others see political branding all over this. There is plenty of evidence, say the government, to show academies do improve standards. So who's right? Parliament's Education Committee investigated recently, and their view, well, there just isn't enough evidence yet to be able to draw firm conclusions on whether academies are, as they put it, a positive force for change. As to whether they raise standards overall, again, their verdict, it's just too early to judge. So good news for England's academies. The verdict from the principal here was tempered today by the question over future funding. A real terms cut, he said, would make decisions over teacher recruitment and class sizes even more challenging.